Shabbat Shalom. What does that actually mean? Shabbat Shalom. Translation. Peace for the seventh day. Peace for the day of cessation. Shabbat. So you're saying then that it is a wish for another person. Right? When I say Shabbat Shalom, I am not describing something that currently is. I am suggesting, I am hoping that you will be able to experience this peace. Is that a fair statement? What's that? If it's not a trick question, would I be the kind of person to present a trick question? Of course I would. But this one is not a trick question, right? It is an offering. The same way that if you greet somebody in English and you say to them, good morning, you're not saying right now, the morning is good. You are saying, I hope your morning will be good. Or I hope your morning has been good at least up until this point. Well, you can't always predict the future. But we have other greetings as well. So for example, if it was Rosh Hashanah, you might say, Shana Tova, right? Shana Tova to you as well. After all, Pesach is in the month of the beginning of the new year, of holidays, so it is kind of a new year as well. And Shana Tova literally means, of course, a good year. Again, we are saying, I hope your year will be good, not saying that right now, as of this moment, it is good, and if it's not, then it must be your fault. No. We are making an aspirational statement. And so too with all of our greetings for our holidays, because we wish that everyone will be able to experience them to their fullest capacity. But we also recognize that, to be honest, whether you have a good day or a bad day, whether you have a good year or a bad year, whether you have a peaceful Shabbat or a non-peaceful Shabbat, is a mixture of in your control and out of your control. There are things we do to build a good Shabbat, coming to services or attending online, for example, making Shabbat at home with Kiddush, with candles, with challah, a very tricky proposition this year with Passover tomorrow night, but still possible. There are ways that we can contribute. But on the other hand, if your air conditioning decides to go out, or if you're at the synagogue and we get another lightning strike, which fries some of our electronics, that's not something we have any control over. That is something that can kind of put a wrinkle in our Shabbat cheer that is beyond our capacity to predict and prevent. So it is a wish as well as encouragement. What do we say for Pesach, the holiday tomorrow? Chag Sameach, right? Chag Sameach. Chag being the Hebrew word for festival or holiday, and Sameach for the word meaning happiness. Now you'll notice we don't say Shalom Chag, right? We don't say Chag Shalom. We're not talking about the peace of the Chag. We're not talking about the restfulness of the Chag. We are talking about the Simcha of the Chag. We are talking about the joy, the happiness of the Chag. For indeed, the three pilgrimage festivals, Pesach, Shavuot, and Sukkot, are meant to be the pinnacles of happy times during our calendar cycle. And so, while yes, we of course want peace in general, we don't want so much peace that we're not having a good time. We want to be able to enjoy and have that feeling of celebration and euphoria that really is only attainable during these three festivals throughout the year. But Chag Sameach is what I was raised with as being the standard greeting. It is what I was generally taught as the standard greeting throughout rabbinic school. And yet in the 14 years since my ordination, I have noticed that there is an addendum, an insertion that has crept its way into our Passover celebration, greeting, that is not found in our celebration greeting for Sukkot or Shavuot. Has anyone heard the longer version of the Passover greeting? Chag kasher v'sameach. Chag kasher v'sameach. All right, Chag still means holiday. Sameach still means happiness. What does kasher mean? Kosher. May you have a kosher and happy Pesach is the implication. Now, when it is time for Shavuot, we don't say, may you have a learning and happy Shavuot. learning being one of the primary forms of activity during Shavuot. We don't say, may you have a sukkahful and happy Sukkot, even though living in the sukkah is a major part of Sukkot. Why, for Pesach, have we suddenly decided that we need to add the word kasher between the festival and the joy? Any ideas? Extra special, because there are extra requirements when it comes to kashrut for Passover. The laws regarding chametz, the leavening that we are to avoid, are quite a different level of attention to detail than we have during the rest of the year. And things which are normally innocuous, like a nice loaf of challah for your Shabbat, suddenly can become problematic when Pesach is looming, or certainly during Pesach. And so we'd always want to spend extra attention on keeping our house and our Passover a kosher, proper way. Yet I have a problem, which is absolutely true, which is why I have YouTube classes and have been taking emails, texts, and phone calls all week from people who have had questions about keeping kosher for Pesach. And I love every minute of that because it shows that people are taking the question of Passover seriously. But when it comes to greeting another person, there is a problem with saying Chag Kasher v'Sameach. As I mentioned before, when it comes to the peace of Shabbat, when it comes to the goodness of a year, when it comes to the happiness of a holiday, there are some parts that are in our control and a large portion that is not in our control. When it comes to the kashrut of Pesach, it's all up to you. Right? There's no accidentalness of Pesach violations because, a bird flew over and dropped a loaf of bread into your open mouth thinking that you were its baby? How exactly could you accidentally violate the laws of Passover when it comes to keeping kosher? This is not something that we need to be wished upon us. This is not something that we need to be hoped for. This is something that we plan for. This is something that we take a few hours out of our week to prepare for, whether it be buying a couple bags of matzah, or boxes I guess they sell them in, or whether it be making sure our kitchen is cleaned and all of the chametz is out of the house. We do that. And no one needs to say, good luck getting that chametz out. Luck? I don't need luck. I just need a little work and, a lot of help in my family, and I'm very thankful for it. But it comes down to simple planning and execution of the plan. To wish someone a kasher Pesach, a kosher Passover, implies that somehow there is an element of this out of their control. And that, unfortunately, is because many people have felt that the rules of Passover are beyond control, that they are so complicated, so convoluted, so onerous, that one would need a miracle to be able to successfully navigate the wonderful shoals of catastrophe that can occur during Pesach. Well, my friends, it's not that hard. And if someone is making you feel like it's that hard, whether it be their own nagging voice inside or the nagging voice of someone else, I'm afraid that they have forgotten that the first and most important word for our festival is Sameach, that there be joy for the festival. Now, joy is not a substitute for following halakha, for following Jewish law, but the two are not at odds. And for those that have made additional stringencies or intricacies part of their celebration, that does not mean it should become part of your obligation. It is not hard to celebrate Pesach. And indeed, if you are worried about accidental chametz, this has already been taken care of for 2,000 years by the simple declaration that we will each make tomorrow morning, that any chametz that happens to be in my house that I have not found, that I have not seen, that I don't know about, or if I have seen it and do know about it, and it's not taken care of today, it is now ownerless. It is hefker, a wonderful technical term, meaning that it is as ownerless as the dust of the earth. If you walk through the middle of the desert and you pick up a grain of sand, no one says, that's mine. It's completely ownerless. So any chametz that may be left over that I have not gotten rid of for whatever reason, any chametz that may have been secretly stored in my house without my knowledge, the little chametz elves that go around sprinkling crumbs when you're not looking, we call them children, it's not my problem anymore. I am relieved of obligation. And so you should feel relieved of that obligation. Come tomorrow morning after you finish whatever you may have reserved for your breakfast. If you have chametz at all, I recommend a hard-boiled egg and a bit of fruit. It's much easier. You can simply say, any chametz that is still here is not my chametz. And I will enter Passover tomorrow night free and ready. I have done what I need to do. I have done the portion that God has asked me. I have taken up that burden, and now it is complete. And so as I celebrate the Seder and sit and recline, I am free, and I am enjoying this celebration as I should, and allowing that simchat Chag, that celebration, that joy of the festival, to be my primary feeling, rather than some neuroses over whether or not I have been lucky enough to have made my Pesach kosher. If you have done your duty, if you have simply wiped and washed and cleaned, put away the chametz, you're ready. The real question is, are you ready to be free? That should be a subject for tomorrow night at your own Seder. Shabbat Shalom.